Well, hello. We're glad you're with us today. It's Tuesday. We're looking forward to our Bible study today in the book of Ecclesiastes and the third chapter. I'm Fred Davis, pastor of Mending Fences Cowboy Church in Lebanon, Tennessee. We meet in the former Reba McIntyre barn. We're located on Highway 109. We meet at 10 o'clock on Sunday mornings, and if you're not actively involved in the church, we'd invite you to come and enjoy the worship and the fellowship we have with one another. I believe that you would enjoy our time together. In the book of Ecclesiastes, chapter 3, we have looked at the first 8 verses. And to try to draw this to a conclusion is simply this. There is a season for everything under the sun. Doesn't matter what it is. When a young couple gets married, they have a vow that they are united as one until death do they part. In other words, it's a season. And that season will pass away. So he's been identifying all these situations that are temporary or seasonal. And in verse 9, he deals with what he's been talking about when he says, what do people really get for all of their hard work? Kind of a strange question, isn't it? But it is the question. What do we really get for all of their hard work? I have seen the burden God has placed on all of us. Yet God has made everything beautiful for its own time. There's that season again, that time that we have. And so what we're looking at here is that God has made everything beautiful for its own time. And it's so true. So as we live our lives, we need to be very conscious. This is only temporary. It's going to pass. But everything God has made beautiful. In other words, look for the good in life, realizing it is only temporary. He has planted eternity in the human heart. Now, he's gone to another depth that is not found in the life just here on earth. He says that God has planted eternity in the human heart. But even so, people cannot see the whole scope of God's work from the beginning to the end. We don't have the ability to look out into the future and see the end from the beginning. But God has that unique ability. When in the book of Genesis, God created the earth, he saw the end from the beginning. When God created Adam and Eve in the beginning, he saw the end from the beginning. We don't have that ability to see the end in the midst of our journey. But God can see that all. So I concluded, this is Solomon, there is nothing better than to be happy and enjoy ourselves as long as we can. We do need to keep in mind all of the things that Solomon talked about in the first 8 verses. And we need to realize there is a time and a season for everything. And so, we should enjoy the journey we're on right now. Even if it is a difficult journey, we need to understand it's connected for only a season. And that there will come a time when that season will no longer be. And we have a problem being able to understand the scope of God's work from the beginning to its end. So I concluded there is nothing better than to be happy and enjoy ourselves as long as we can. In other words, we should be a happy people no matter the circumstances that we find ourselves in. Just doesn't matter. It's only temporary. This too shall pass. And people should eat and drink and enjoy fruits of their labor, for these are the gifts from God. God has given these things to us. We oftentimes don't recognize that, and we certainly don't give God the glory, but every blessing on earth comes from God. Verse 14, and I know that whatever God does is final. You hear that? Everything God does has a permanency to it. It has an eternity to it. So if our life is focused on eternity, these are things that will last forever. Nothing can be added to it or taken from it. What is he telling us? We don't have the ability to add to anything in our life, or do we have the ability to take anything from it? It is a blessing of God. Listen to this. Here's what he says. God's purpose is that people should fear him. Now, the word fear here doesn't mean that we're afraid of God. It means that we have a genuine respect for God. We got to keep that in mind, that we should respect God in everything he does and everything in our life that he gives to us. So have a tremendous respect. Here's something we can hang on to. God is eternal. He is permanent. And what God does will last forever and ever and ever. Verse 15. What is happening now has happened before. You know, it is believed that if we study history, then perhaps we don't have to repeat it. But if we are not studying the past, we don't know about the past, we are doomed to repeat it again. Our schools are not teaching the history of America and its people. And therefore, they do not have the knowledge of what has happened in the past. Therefore, we have no other choice but to repeat what has happened before. And what has happened in the past that has been hurtful and harmful, we're just going to repeat it again because we know nothing about it. What is happening now has happened before, and what will happen in the future has happened before. So if you think about it, man just revolves in a circle. You look at the Roman Empire, how it fell. You would think we would learn from that. But in America, we're not learning the lessons of the Roman Empire. Therefore, we are bound to repeat it again. Here's why. Because God makes the same things happen over and over again. Who made that? God. God is eternal, God is permanent, and man is going to repeat his history over and over and over again. So you can study the Old Testament, you can study the New Testament, you can learn from what has happened in the past, and you do not have to repeat it again, but we likely will, because we do not learn from the past. I hope that you will be concerned enough about life, our nation, and all that is going on, that you will study, you will know history, so that we will not repeat it again. That is what Solomon is telling us. I hope that you will take this to heart. We will continue our study again tomorrow, and we hope that life will be the best that God has it for you, and that we will be the people of God who are moving forward toward the kingdom of God as we study what has happened in the past. Thank you for being with us today.